Hello, and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and our terrier mix, Sophie. And if you hear any background noise, that is Sophie eating her rawhide. She really likes to chew. And so I thought this would keep her entertained. I didn't think about the sound that she would make while she was eating it, but I guess it is better than her whimpering outside the door. So we'll see how it goes. If you are looking for me, I am Christy-Lael on Ravelry and Christy-Lael without the dash on Instagram and Goodreads. We also have a Relatively Crafty podcast group on Ravelry where we have intermittent knit-alongs and swaps and giveaways and that kind of thing. Currently, we have just done the, well, I guess we're in the midst of doing the Advent swap, the Advent mini swap. Everybody, hopefully, since today is December 2nd, everybody has received their minis and are starting to open them. Oops, sorry, I kicked the camera. I do encourage everyone to post on Ravelry and or on Instagram pictures of your minis and the other goodies that you are getting, what you're making with your minis. I'd really like to see. So yeah, there's been a couple of people that are posting, and I've recently, like 2 minutes before I started podcasting, posted my own pictures on Instagram, and I'm going to put them on to the Ravelry group as soon as I finish with this podcast. So I'm not entirely sure yet what I'm going to make. I keep going back and forth about a sockhead hat. Whenever I've made myself a sockhead hat, I've always made them shorter. But I was looking, I remember Barbara from the Flame and Fiber podcast, who last year made a sockhead hat out of one of the sets of Advent minis that she had gotten in a swap, and I loved the way hers turned out. And then I thought, well, I'll definitely do that. And then as we got closer to it, I said, well, maybe I won't make one because I normally make them less slouchy. But she posted her first Vlogmas video yesterday, and I watched it, and she was wearing the hat for most of it, and I was like, that's such a cute hat, and it looks so good on her, and I should maybe think about doing that again. So what I think what I need to do is I need to either go without the slouch or just go all out. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take one of the mini sets that I got in my swap and just knit until they're completely done and knit all 24 entirely into the hat. Ours are 10-gram mini, so that would be an entire skein of yarn, which means that the hat would almost be more like an elf style long hat, kind of with the end kind of going over my shoulder, maybe put a big pom-pom at the end. That's what I'm kind of thinking about doing. So we'll see how that goes. However, I will say I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to do it each day. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously for you, but obviously for me, I haven't started well because I still have both minis from yesterday and today sitting over here to show you, and I have not knit them at all. But we'll get into that when we get into whips and things to knit and that kind of thing. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the knitting, shall we? I mean, that's what you guys are here for. I have several FOs to show you, which I am happy about. They are mostly socks, and they're all in stockinette, but I got hair in my mouth. But I figure if you're watching my podcast, then you probably don't mind socks and stockinette because I knit a lot of those things. I am very pleased to say that I have finally caught up with the sock cals that I have been doing this year. I started out the year so well. 2 sock cals when Lolo did it with her hippos for the holidays, which I'm doing for a second year in a row. And then the other one was the box of socks cowl, which I have been knitting. I really hope that when I edit this, I'm not just going to hear the dog constantly gnawing. I hope that it's not too bad. I'm so sorry if it is. I definitely will not have her in here with a rawhide next time. By the way, I will say these are the digestible rawhides that I got from her vet. These are not the rawhides that just kind of sit in their tummies. These ones are specially made for dogs to be able to digest them and process them, and I'm not causing her any harm whatsoever. We're very good about feeding her the things that one, she enjoys, and two, are good for her. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, so the other is the box of socks, which I've been knitting, the Knitterly Things Vesper sock for the entire year. And I had fallen quite behind. At the beginning of November, I had to finish October socks and to finish one pair of October socks, which were started, start and finish the second pair of October socks, and then knit all of November socks. And I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the whole thing. But I am proud to say that I have caught up, and here it is, the 2nd of December, and I only have December's socks left to knit, which is very good. So let me show you what I finished. I've put the dog up on the bed. She was right over here, and I realized that that's kind of where the microphone is for my phone. So if it is picking up the chewing of the rawhide, it's probably picking it up better right over there. So I have put her up on the bed, and hopefully it won't pick it up quite as much. So the first pair of socks that I finished, I think, pretty sure, is my November pair of Knitterly Things Vesper sock. This is the October Rainbow of the Month from last year. The colorway is Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. And I think I had these on the needles when I podcast last. And I have finished them. And I absolutely love how they turned out. So I did them with my regular recipe. I did a Turkish toe cast on. I did a True Afterthought Hill 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and I used I think I used a little Lolo for the heel. I think it complements very nicely, and I am very happy with how these turned out. So that means that I now only have, as I said, the December one more pair of Knitterly Things Vesper sock to knit this year. I have to say that I have really enjoyed knitting her yarn, and I'm glad that I still have several left. I think last podcast I said I had like 6 skeins left. I think that's about accurate, looking up there at my shelf of sock yarn. But I really enjoy knitting with her yarn. The base is lovely, and the stripes, her dyeing is always beautiful. Yeah, she's one of my favorite stripy dyers. So I will continue to purchase more and knit more of her yarn over the years. As long as she keeps dyeing, I'm going to keep buying. Then I managed to finish the October Hippo for the Holidays. Let me get them on the stock blockers. Here they are. These were so much fun. I absolutely love this colorway. This is Hippo for Baby Orange. As if you recall, she did a series of 8 different Hippo for Baby colorways to honor her sister having a baby. And I did Hippo for Baby Yellow for my September socks, Hippo for Baby Orange for my October socks. And I did these with a little Lolo in Blazing Sevens. And absolutely love these. I only got 3 of the Hippo for Baby colorways. I'm kind of wishing I'd gotten a couple of more because I just really love how these turned out. And yeah, I did these again with my non-stripey recipe, which is everything's the same as the stripey recipe except for the heel. I do a Turkish toe cast on. I do the 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and then instead of a true afterthought heel, I do a fish lips kiss heel. And honestly, I would like to say that if I had planned to do a contrasting heel with these, I would have done a fish lips kiss heel as well. But I didn't plan on that. I really thought that I was going to use the this yarn, the little things, for the heel, and after I'd gotten both socks done, I changed my mind. So that's the nice thing about the True Afterthought heel. But yeah, so there is my Hippo for Baby Orange, which are, as I said, my October Hippo for the Holidays socks. I also got my November Hippo for the Holidays socks done, though I did just get them done. I finished them yesterday. But at least they were done before the middle of December, and I have no doubt that I will be able to get the final 2 pairs done before the end of the month, which is what I was not so sure about when the beginning of November came. I was like, I don't know that I'm going to finish. And if it had been, you know, June, then I would have just... Hi, Sophie. I would have just abandoned the cowls, but you can't abandon a year-long cowl 2 months from the end of the year. That would be awful. Are you done? Are you going to come down? Why don't you lay down? Oh, you're such a sweetheart. Aren't you such a sweetheart? Yes. Yes, you are. Lay down. Nope. Okay, jump. Jump. Good girl. Well, that didn't last very long, did it? Anyway, here are my... this is Hippo for Baby Halloween I'm sorry, not Hippo for Baby. Hippo for Halloween 2018. This is very different from the Hippo for Halloween 2017. I have to say that I preferred Halloween 2017, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that that had neon green in it and no black, and I am not a fan of black. This one has quite a lot of black, but it will be fine. I can get around it. I paired it with a little Lolo in Wonka, which is just a great purple that she has. Apparently, Sophie approves. And yeah, I love how they turned out. I wish that I had asked, and you can do this, by the way, if you order from Lauren at Lolo Did It. You can put on a special request saying, can I get a skein that has more purple instead of black in it, and they will do their best to honor that request. This one does have some purple speckles. I'm trying to see if I can see one. Not really feeling like I'm making a lot of progress with that. Oh, right here. There we go. Where did it go? Yeah, right here. That's purple right there. I don't know if you can see it. So I do wish that I had asked for more purple and less black, but you know what, again, I think they're going to be great. I do like them. I'm not a fan of the color black or the color pink. So there you go. I have finished November socks. All I have left is December's socks, and then I will have managed to finish my cowls this year. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I probably have. I apologize for repeating myself. I am not going to do any year-long cowls next year, just simply because I have found that I can't guarantee that I'm going to have the time. And in my line of business, January is a really busy time. And I'm going to be starting out the beginning of a year-long cowl with just working quite a lot at work. I've been warned that it's going to be 60 and 70-hour weeks for that month of January because of things that have to be turned in by January 30th by law. So I will definitely be shooing any year-long cowls, and will just be knitting as I find the time for things. I don't need any more socks, so I'm not even sure I'm going to do like a very laid-back box of socks. I think I'm just going to knit socks for whomever I need socks for. I had plans to knit socks for my kids and my husband and my uncle and my aunt and my mom this year, and I didn't knit them any. So I think that maybe next year I will focus on that more, more than socks for myself. As you know, with the two knit-alongs that I've been in this year, I have kept both of them with the entirety of the socks in a box, and so by the end of this month I will have 24 brand new pairs of socks to put in my own drawer, so I really don't need any more. Okay, so next, let's see. I have one more finished object, but I'm actually going to save it for the whips portion because it pertains to some current whips. But I did want to show you, this is not a finished object, but it's, I have reached a milestone on it. I have finished the body of my Blue Sands cardigan. Here's the back. And it goes on forever. Hang on. All the way down to there. And it's got pocketses right there. Oops. Pockets there. And you see there are striped pockets, which I absolutely love. I'm so glad she added that into the pattern. And they aren't complete pockets. I haven't sewn up the sides, but they are pockets nonetheless. Here is one of the fronts, all the way down. Here, I'll do it this way. There's one of the fronts. So yeah, I'm really glad that I finally finished the body. I have put it on hold now that I've gotten the body done. I'm going to do the sleeves in the new year. It's going to take me nearly a full year to knit this blasted sweater, which is ridiculous, but I do blame it entirely on my work schedule. But I did start this in March of 2018, and we're coming in close to March of 2019. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So yes, so my Blue Sands is on hold because I need to focus on other things that have to be knit before the end of the year and in January. So that is all of the quote-unquote FOs that I have. Let's go ahead and get into whips, and I'll talk about that. Well, I guess I'll show you the other FO that I have. I realized that Christmas was coming and that I had hoped to knit some kind of gift for my team at work. Well, there are 5 of us, and well, technically there's 6 of us. I have 5 coworkers. One of them is on maternity leave until the end of January, so I'm not sure if she's going to show up and be there for Christmas, but I definitely am doing something knitted for my other 4 coworkers. And back in, like, August, I'm like, ooh, I'll knit them something grand. Then September and October happened, and I'm like, well, maybe something small. So I finally settled on some fingerless gloves. They all run colder than I do, and so often talk about how it is chilly inside the office while I am overheating, but I thought maybe some fingerless gloves would be a good idea. So I'm taking some of the leftover Hippo for the Holidays colorways that I have that I didn't really want in my scrappy Hippo sweater, and I am making them fingerless gloves out of those colorways. And I have 1 pair done. The nice thing about fingerless gloves is that they knit up really fast. So I'm able to do, 1.5 on a Saturday if I focus on it. So I've gotten 1 pair done, as I said. I'm putting them on so I can show them to you. This is Hippo for Birthdays 2018. And here they are. I've made them long so that they would keep people's fingers warm during but they can still work on their computers. And I've just done my own recipe for them. Basically, and I think I will put this in my project page. All of the information for all of my projects are always on my project pages on Ravelry, so you can always find them there. But this is basically what I do with fingerless gloves all the time. It's 60 stitches on a US 1. I do 10 rows of ribbing, 20 rows of stockinette, and then I start the thumb gusset. I do the thumb gusset for 21 stitches, increasing 2 stitches every other row, and then take those 21 stitches off, do another 20 rows for the hand, and 10 rows of ribbing, bind off with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. With the thumb, I pick up a couple extra stitches and then decrease over a couple of rows, and then do 5 rows of plain stockinette and 5 rows of ribbing, 1 by 1 ribbing, and Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off again. And as I said, this is Hippo for Baby. Oh no, sorry, God, I've got Hippo for the Baby stuck in my head. This is Hippo for Birthdays. I really love this colorway, even though it has pink in it. Actually, it technically has pink and black in it, so I really shouldn't like it. But that aqua just gets me. And I love how they turned out. So I'm going to make 3 other pairs. And I'm going to put them in... We went to Joann's on Black Friday. And I picked up several of these little boxes. And so I'm going to use them for the presents. I got some of this. Ooh, that's bright. It's iridescent shreds confetti. I'm gonna put those inside, and then I've got some candies. Let's see, open this box. I think I got some hot cocoa kisses, and I'm just going to put that in there with the confetti and the gloves. And that will be their Christmas present, so they can have the box and the gloves and the chocolate. And the plan is, I'm not going to pick one for any one person, so I'm going to basically bring them all in and have them each choose one. That way I don't have to worry about somebody getting gloves that they didn't want, or that way I don't have to worry about somebody getting colors on their gloves that they didn't want, that they felt that I chose for them. They can just get whatever ends up coming. So I've got the second pair going. I have finished, except for the thumb, finished the first one. There it is there. And I've got the second one on the needles. I'm just getting ready to start the thumb gusset. This is, I think this was Hippo for Mardi Gras, maybe? No, Dia de los Muertos. I think that's what it is, Dia de los Muertos. It is a full house in this room right now. The cat has jumped over the fence and has decided she needs to talk. You guys haven't seen Lilo in a while. Here she is. She's grown, width-wise. Plus, she's got her winter coat, so she is all fluffy. Say hi, Lilo. They're still not friends. Like, they tolerate each other, but that's about it. Yes, okay, Sophie. You go over there. Such a distracting show. Sorry, guys. It would help if my 14-year-old daughter wasn't in the room with me, but she has decided she needs to be here. Stop, Sophie, that tickles. Will you stop? Rotten dog? Rotten dog? Okay, so anyway, yes, so this is the second pair. I will hopefully get this mostly done today. And then the third pair will be Hippo for Valentine's Day 2018. And then the final pair will be the Helping Hippos. And I chose these because they all had a heavy amount of pink in them, and as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I'm not a big fan of pink. They also all are more heavily speckled than some of the other colorways, so I opted to keep them out as well, and they work out perfectly for these gloves. In fact, I think I ended up with about 5 grams left over from the first pair of gloves, so that's perfect. And then speaking of using my leftover hippo for the holidays colorways, I've pulled out what I need. Not on my sweater. I have pulled out what I needed for my why don't you go take her for a walk? You're bigger than her.
I know. She's smaller though.
Okay, the child is taking the dog for a walk, so hopefully I'll be able to finish the rest of this podcast uninterrupted. So speaking of, I've pulled out what I need for my leftovers hippo sweater, and because these two, nope, not that one. Because these two are so heavily speckled, I have decided that I might take these two, which is Hippo for Baby Yellow and Orange, and hold them double to make myself a DK hat. I loved these colorways. I would love to be able to utilize the rest of these skeins, but they are more heavily speckled than much of what I have left over from the other socks. So I'm thinking they would look really good together. So you might see that coming up in January as well. But that brings us to my leftover hippos sweater. I have started that. I completely ignored the fact that my Blue Sands was not finished, and I started a new sweater, which is very much unlike me, but I was too excited to start this, and so I threw caution to the wind. So this is, what is the pattern called? It's a very basic raglan by Joji Locatelli. She wrote it for Madeline Tosh. I think they're for Tosh DK. Oh, DK Twist. However, I am holding my hippo for the holidays, fingering leftovers double to get a DK, and I have made some progress on it. It's a basic top-down raglan. Hang on, I've got it a little crooked. There we go. Basic top-down raglan. I am working on the raglan increases, as you can tell, and I am still on the first 2 skeins, which I believe are Hippo for Mom 2017 and Hippo for Dad. No, Hippo for Thanksgiving 2017. Which I think go really well together. So you can kind of see some of the yellow and brown and orange speckles from Hippo for Thanksgiving, and then the purple and red speckles and blue speckles from Hippo for Mom. I'm so enjoying knitting this. The one thing that I will say is that I have to be a little bit more careful while I'm knitting, because I find that I have a tendency to only pick up one strand instead of both strands as I'm knitting them together, and so sometimes I find I have to go back 3 to 5 to 10 stitches and grab that second strand and continue on. And I think part of the reason why I'm not catching that is because I knit fingering weight yarn so often that it is very natural for my fingers to just feel that fingering weight, that single fingering weight, and not catch that I'm then I'm missing part of it. So anyway, here it is. I've been taking this with me to knit night, which is when I feel like I can justify working on it, but I'm not working on it other than that, simply because I have other things that have to get done. So I am really enjoying it, and I am getting very close to the end of Hippo for Mom. So hopefully, by the time I show this to you guys in my next podcast, I will have I will be into the second colors, the second skeins. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. And I'm holding it in my llama bag, my Peruvian llamas, which my aunt made for me, and it barely sits in there. Let's see, what else do I have for whips? I think I only have one more whip. Last podcast, I mentioned to you guys that I had almost shamefully purchased some cranking services for socks for my mom. In the past, 6 or 7 years, I have knit my mom 5 or so pairs of socks every year. Some of them have been great successes, some of the earlier ones not so much, but she is the one person who in my life who's really sock knit worthy. My husband and my kids appreciate hand knit socks as well, but my mom really appreciates them. And I realized a couple of months ago that I hadn't knit my mom a single pair of socks this year, and that I wasn't going to be able to before the end of the year. And so I felt kind of bad about it. And so I contacted somebody on Etsy who was offering crank sock services, where she would crank an entire pair of socks, and I asked her if she would just crank me some tubes so that I could do the heels and toes and cuffs myself, and she did so. It came. She got the yarn, and 2 days later was done with all the cranking. Anyway, here is the tube, and I've started on Mom's socks. Haven't gotten very far. But this is one skein. She put them all together, which is what I asked her to do. This was Woolly Wonka yarn in the Harianan base. I don't remember the colorway. I'll put it on the screen. But so I've got that tube, or sock snake, as Amy of Stranded Dye Works calls them. And then this is Alaska Nancy, Fireweed Dye Works, in the Mother's Day colorway, I believe. It's very Eastery. And then lastly, I have some colorway is Purple Rain, Purple Rainbow. And it is white, no, not white iris, doggone it. White Birch Fiber Arts in Purple Rain, Purple Rainbow. And it goes to there, and you see that I have put a cuff on there. One thing that I found is that her machine, this is the only thing I can think of, is that her machine knits going the opposite direction. So like, instead of knitting from the right to left, her machine knits from the left to right, because I put this end on the needles and ripped back to here so that I could use this instead of a contrasting, but use this for the cuffs like I like to do, and it was backwards. And so I thought, well, maybe I just picked up the wrong end. So I went and grabbed the other end and found that I was in the same position. If you can see here, here is me getting ready to knit normally, except for the yarn tail is coming off of the working needle instead of behind, so I would have to knit it backwards. What I have done is I've just been doing the ribbing from knitting it on the inside, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of knitting it inside out, which is fine for ribbing because it's the same on both sides. And then when I do the toes and heels, I'm kind of doing it, forcing it to go the other way around. I know that sounds confusing, but that is what it is. So I have started on this and this end. I haven't gotten very far on this one, but I do have the first sock done for this Willy Woolly Wonka yarn, and here it is. So I used some little Lolos, leftover little Lolos for the heel and toe, and then I used the Woolly Wonka, which I ripped back and knit the cuff with. One thing that I did find, and I don't know if this is the same with all crank socks, this is really literally the first cranked items that I've ever seen in real life. But the gauge for these is much looser than my gauge. So these are quite a bit looser. You can kind of see that they kind of sag a little bit on my sock blockers. Whereas this pair of socks that I just finished is quite a bit, can you see? It's tighter. There's all this extra, but there's not a lot of extra here. Does that make sense? So yeah. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. Mom has said sometimes that I've knit them a little bit too tight. And these have an extra 4 stitches as well. Well, that's not true, because an extra 2 stitches. My socks end up having 62 stitches when I get up to the leg. This one has 64 stitches, but those 2 stitches should not make that much extra material. So it's definitely a looser gauge. It is what it is. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem, and she'll at least have 3 new pairs of socks to knit or to wear, and that's the important bit. Plus, I really love how these complement this. So yeah, so I'm hoping to get the rest of these done before Christmas. You wouldn't think with just heels and toes that it would take all that long, but it does take some time. So yeah, that is one of the projects that I am working on. I feel a little bit like I'm cheating, but it be what it be, my friend. And then that's all that I have on the needles, but I do have some things that I will be casting on very soon. One is a commission project that I am knitting for Lolo Did It. Out of these 2 beautiful yarns. These are her yarns, obviously. It is the Dreamy Base, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. It's so soft. This is Florine Fortescue's, and this one is Bert's Every Flavored Beans. There we go. Bertie's Every Flavored Beans. So I am going to be doing this. I can't tell you anything about it, though. It is a surprise. Just I was able to show the yarn. I can't tell you about the pattern. I can't tell you about what kind of project it is. Just that those 2 colors are going together. That's all that I can say. And then I also have my December socks. This one is my Knitterly Things box of socks. This is the Fireside Hearth Song. This was her November. No, this was the December Rainbow of the Month from last year, and I'm super excited. There's so much orange in there. I, as you know, firmly believe that you can never have too much orange, so I'm very happy. And then for my last pair of Lolo Did It Hippo for the Holidays, I am doing Hippo for Baby Blue. Dog? You're not helping. Which I'm excited about. And I've paired that with a not Judy Blue Eyes. I think blue jeans? Blue suede shoes. Little Lolo. So, yeah. Excited about that. And those will be done on time. And I will have completed both cows. If I have to stay up all night on Christmas Eve to finish them, that's what I'm going to be doing. Because I am not giving up now. Doggone it. They want you. Go away. Go away, Sophie. Go bother somebody else. So let's go ahead and get into yarn haul. That is all that I have left. I'm not really going to be talking about books this time because I don't really have anything to say. I haven't read anything that has been noteworthy. And so I'm just going to kind of skip that section this time. Plus, I think the dog has interrupted enough, and I'm anxious to get it finished so that I can, like, hang her up by her toenails. I'm joking. I would never hang her up by her toenails. Maybe by her tail. Anyway, so let's see. I've got my advent calendars. As you know, I'm doing the advent swap, and because there was an odd number of people, I threw myself on in front of the bus and took 2 partners. So one of my partners is Mad About Craft GB, and she is in the UK. So yesterday I opened up this gorgeous goodie. This is Yantan Tethra yarns, which I think Tethra yarns, which is a dyer I haven't heard of before. I have not heard of before, and this is in the Holidays colorway. And then she also sent me a little Cadbury Fudge goodie, which is awesome because I've heard great things about the UK Cadbury chocolates, that they are better than American chocolates, so I'm interested to try them. And then today, there was a little Twinings Everyday Tea. I'm excited to try because I like Twinings tea. And then there was, stop, Sophie. And there was this mini, which is really pretty as well. And it is the same yarn, Yantan Tethra, in nut brown hair. I love nut brown hair. And so I'm thinking actually of using these to make that hat that I was mentioning earlier, because so far they're going really well together and I'm excited about them. That is not to diminish the greatness that I am getting from Gary's Only Gal, who is my other Advent swap partner, because she is sending me some beautiful yarns as well. Yesterday there was this gorgeous mini, and she's sending these lovely Bible cards, which I'm really keen on. She says that she used to color them and put them underneath her kids' pillows at night, which I think is such a great idea. I might share them with the girls in color with them. And then there was also this peacock enamel pin that I am in love with. I just think it's gorgeous. And then today's mini was this one, which is also beautiful, and this card. I love these. These are really great. So yeah, I'm wondering if there's going to be a card every day. That would be really awesome. So thanks, ladies. So far, I'm really enjoying our swap. I'm hoping you're enjoying them as well. Then there was a Hugh Loco pop-up shop at my local yarn shop, which is Colorful Yarns in Centennial, a couple of weeks ago, and I have knit for Nicola Hugh Loco a couple of times, but I've never met her in person, so I wanted to go ahead and introduce myself. It was really nice to be able to meet with her, and I, of course, had to buy some yarn. So I grabbed this beautiful skein of her Merino DK in the colorway Flower Child. I just think it's gorgeous. I'm definitely going to make it into a hat, and I already picked out a pom-pom to go with it. Look at that. Aren't those going to go together so well? I'm super excited. These are McPorter Farms pom-poms, and there we go. McPorter Farms. They are faux raccoon pom-poms, and I'm just really keen. I get these also from my local yarn shop. I'm very keen to make this into a gorgeous hat. January. January, I'm going to be knitting a lot of other things. And then I have 2 sweater quantities to show you. One is from a Black Friday sale. Eat Sleep Knits has their surprise sale on Black Friday. They've done it for the past 2 years, and I've fallen for it each time. Basically, you fill up your cart with whatever you want, and then when you check out, they do a random number generator, and whatever number pops up, that's the discount that you get. It's going to be at least 10% and can go all the way up to 100%, which means that you get your entire purchase for free, right? So I figure even at just 10%, that's totally worth going for. So I bought a sweater's quantity of this beauty. This is Malabrigo, chunky, in the Frank Ochre colorway, and I got 8 skeins of it. And I'm going to make an owl's sweater, which looks like this. It's a sweater that I knit for myself before, but I knit it with a yarn that I didn't have enough of, so it had to be short-sleeved, and chunky short-sleeve sweaters don't always, there's not much use for them, because not having the sleeves means that they're not warm enough for when you need a chunky sweater, and then they're too warm when you need a short sleeve something. So anyway, I'm going to make a full sleeved one with these, and like I said, I got 8 skeins, and I love this color, and I'm very excited about it. So expect to see those soon. And then there was a pop-up at my yarn shop for 6 and 7 fibers a couple of months ago. Yeah, maybe October. And I had shown you, I bought some yarn from her then, but she had this so-faded pullover that that she had done in a gradient that she had dyed, and it was a kid's pullover, and I fell in love with it. So I was looking to get, she had the gradient sets in like 20-gram minis, and I was like, well, how many would I need to get in order to make the sweater? She said, well, don't buy the minis, I'll just dye you up the full skeins, just contact me at my shop on Etsy. And so I did. Look at it. Hopefully the glare is not too bad. There we go. So this is the out of town gradient, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, if I'm going to start with this color or this color. If you recall from my the So Faded that I made last year, which is here, the colors are similar, and I started kind of with this color and ended with this color. I might reverse it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I definitely am going to make it into a faded sweater, and I'm super excited about it. And that is it, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up my mess and discipline my dog and my kid. And I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy knitting.